Call the member for Solomon.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Thank you, Member for Chester, Member for Gippsland. I also rise to contribute to the condolence motion, noting the passing of Jim Stynes. Sadly, Jim Stynes passed away earlier today at his home, and at the early age of 45. Jim endured a public 2.5-year battle with cancer. As the member for Gippsland has said, Jim was born in Dublin, moving to Australia at the age of 18 as part of the Melbourne Football Club's Irish experiment, which aimed to recruit Gaelic footballers for the AFL. Jim became a regular with the Melbourne Demons by the midpoint of the 1987 season, but in the preliminary final of that year, with only 4 seconds to go, he gave away a 15-metre free kick by running across the mark. This resulted in Hawthorn scoring the winning goal and taking the match. And I suppose that some of my colleagues here were glad that at least it wasn't Collingwood that won. Jim's fortunes did turn around, and in 1991 he won the Brownlow Medal, the game's highest individual honour. And it must be noted that Jim was the first internationally raised player to win that award. In addition to his Brownlow Medal, Jim won 4 Best and Fairest awards with Melbourne, equalling the club record, playing an AFL record of 244 consecutive games. He was also twice selected in the All-Australian side. It's recorded that Jim represented Melbourne in every official game for 11 years, with a total of 264 games across the 1987 to 1998 seasons. In 1994, Jim, along with film director Paul Curry, founded the Reach Foundation. The foundation's aim was to teach young people life skills and to give young people the support, the self-belief and the encouragement needed to fulfil their potential. The aim of the foundation was in part motivated by Jim's own teenage experience. He had attended camps back in his home country, which were taught in the Irish language, and although encapsulating a physical educational focus, additionally they were driven by a philosophy of education for life. The Reach Foundation runs programs nationally in schools and communities which aim to improve young people's self-esteem, self-belief and develop resilience and emotional awareness. The programs are run by young people aged between 15 to 25 for young people, aged 10 to 18, with over 60,000 taking part across the country every year. Enormous numbers. Now, Jim remained active on the board of Reach even during the time he battled his cancer. And although Jim retired from football in 1998, he didn't lose the footy love, becoming president of the Demons in 2008 at a time when the club was in the midst of serious decline. He was inducted into the AFL Hall of Fame in 2003, and the Jim Stynes Medal is awarded to the best Australian player in the International Rules Series each year. Not only is Jim remembered for these AFL achievements, he was twice named Victorian of the Year, in 2001 and in 2003. And in 2007, he was awarded the Medal of Australia for his work with youth and his contribution to the Australian football. In 2010, Jim was named Melbourneian of the Year, and in 2011, the Australian Catholic University awarded Jim their highest honour, Doctor of the University. And this was in recognition for his service to the community, particularly in the areas of youth depression, homelessness and suicide. An incredible man, and he achieved so much in just such a short life. And today there has been much written about the incredible Jim Stynes. 2 comments that caught my attention, and I have that I'd like to talk about. One of them was with Mike Sheenan from the Herald Sun, where he said that Irish-born Stynes was one of the most extraordinary figures in Australian life. I have to agree with that. And then there was Martin Flanagan from The Age, who I believe was correct when he stated that Jim was more than just a sportsman. Jim also had a connection with the Northern Territory, in that he visited the Northern Territory a number of times and was reported to have strongly supported Aboriginal players, as he had held a special connection with the Yuendamu community, which is northwest of Alice Springs. As the Herald Sun reported, Stynes was one of 6 speakers at the MCG, including AFL Chief Executive Andrew Dimitri, to help launch the Liam Jarrah story, a book by Bruce Hearn McKinnon detailing Jarrah's rise from playing barefoot on a red soil oval to taking AFL Mark of the Year. Stynes had twice visited the Yuendamu community, which is 300 kilometres west of Alice Springs, an experience he regards as one of the most inspiring in his life. Definitely his story is better than mine. I used to claim my story as a point of difference, but it can't compare with where Liam Jarrah has come from, said Stynes, who proudly wore his Melbourne scarf as always. At least when I came here, there was a similar culture, and the spirit of our games was similar. For Liam, it was so different. He only just had a pair of boots. I have been there a couple of times, and to meet the whole community was so eye-opening for me. I was so privileged to be given that chance and to be given the warmth of welcome, said Stynes. Former Essendon player Tim Watson also spoke of the recent trip Stynes made to the Northern Territory in giving his tribute to Jimmy Stynes. He said, "I think perhaps he did his best work away from the football field. He became a leader in the community. The work that he's done with the Reach organisation and the compassion that he has shown through that. I saw him first in Yuendamu when he went up there in the Northern Territory to visit Liam Jarrah's family. I saw him for a couple of days there, and he was struggling with his health at that time, and I was just amazed by the bravery and the courage he displayed up there. It was hot, it was dusty, he didn't have to be there, but he wanted to be a part of the contingent that went up there to show the Melbourne community that the Melbourne team cared about Liam Jarrah and about Aboriginal people as well. He had an enormous effect on mankind. There's going to be a lot of young people out there today that owe the direction in their life that they've taken to some work that Jim Stynes may have done." Another connection to the Northern Territory is that legendary Darwin-born AFL player Andrew McLeod, who played for the Crows, and is considered by many as one of the greatest Indigenous footballers of all time. Now, Andrew was awarded the Jim Stynes Medal in 2005 after co-captaining the Australian international football team against Ireland. Mr Deputy Speaker, my deepest sympathy to Jim's wife Sam and their 2 children, Matisse and Ternan, and to Jim's parents, Tess and Brian, and their families, as well as to the many Australians that will be mourning the loss of a true legend in Jim Stynes. Thank you.